To you, members of the press, you are most welcome. I'll start with the issue of the late Professor Kanye Hamba. We joined the nation and the international community in mourning one of the luminaries of constitutional law and the governance in this country. You know, in the legal profession, we have people who have exceedingly surpassed the test of an ordinary lawyer or justice or judge, and in the league of their own. Those ones are called the jurists. Kanye Hamba has been one of the renowned jurists beyond the borders of Uganda. And we do celebrate him. And amongst the jurists, there are also sages. S-A-G-E-S, sages of the law. He's been a sage, a colossus, one of those eminent persons who exude nothing but that reverence, those reverends. He's been a reverend person you can revere, respect, right from the time he served in government as Attorney General up to the current moment, to the present moment. He has died at the battlefront as a vanguard of rule of land constitutionalism. Even in his last days, Kanye Hamba did not give up. He's been, you've noticed several times, being wheeled to courts of law. I think the last case he filed was against Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. It was about amending the constitution to remove all the provisions relating to bail. invited me as one of the lawyers to be in that case. And the professional aspect, I had crept into our discussion because I felt like, it was not proper for us, legally speaking, to drag a sitting president to court, because that is the position of the law. I told him, in as much as I'd wish us to, take that directive, that position, to take that direction, that position of dragging Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as a person to court, to not be proper in the law. He charged at me and said, "You man, why are you people fearing Museveni? Why don't you want us to file a case against Yoweri Kaguta Museveni? Because it's not the government of Uganda which is amending the constitution. It is Museveni. He has not been advised by the Attorney General to abrogate the constitution and vulgarize it, to remove or expand all the provisions relating to bail. It is Museveni as a person." And said the parliament has not even passed a law. So it is Museveni who is abrogating the constitution. We drag him to court. Indeed, he stood by his position and took Museveni to court, to the constitutional court. And he argued out the case from a wheelchair. That is Kanye Hamba for you. In a special way, at Katonga here, we shall always remember his position, his firm stance in the 2006 case. That is Dr. Kizza Besigye versus Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, election petition number 1 of 2006, which was argued out in the Supreme Court. I was still a very young man at that time. I was one of the lawyers in that case. Supreme Court election petition number 1 of 2006. Dr. Kizza Besigye versus Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and the Electoral Commission. Kanye Hamba was very, very instrumental, very assertive, and he took a decision which was unprecedented at that time to annul Museveni's election and direct there should be a fresh election. Never mind the history they had shared, the journey they had traveled together with Museveni. He took a firm position and said, no way. Museveni rigged the elections and elections must be nullified. That wouldn't be the issue because he was not alone. It was a 4-3 judgment. There were 4 in favor of upholding the election and 3 who dissented, who were against the majority decision. The 4 were Odoki, Mulenga, Katurebe, and Karokora. The 3, Kanye Hamba, Sekoko, and Justice Odell. Those were the 3 who dissented. But what makes Kanye Hamba a unique character who stands out amongst the many is his maverick character as a judge. You know what he did in that case? He told the behind-the-scene events that led to the reversal of the earlier decision, which was in favor of annulling the elections. He told the story, the untold story. He told it. He said, upon conclusion of the hearing of the case, judges normally go into what they call a judges' conference to decide which position they are taking. He tells us, and this is well documented, go and read The Blessings and Joy of Being Who You Are, written by Justice Kanye Hamba. And on several occasions he has told this story. Said the first judges' conference that was convened, there were 4 justices against 3. in favor of annulling Museveni's election. We had won the case. Then what Odoki did, because he was the Chief Justice presiding over the proceedings, he requested the justices, go and sleep over it. Then we return tomorrow. They come back the following day. He asks again. Let me repeat this. Let me revise this for some inaccuracies which I had given. The four who were for annulling the election, Hamba was not there. Amongst the first four who were for annulling the election, Hamba was not there. He was among the three who were against, who were for upholding the election of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. I hope we are together now. The first judges conference, there were 4 justices who said the election should be annulled. There were 3 who dissented and said it should not be annulled. Hamba was amongst the 3 who were for the side of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, saying, I'm not convinced that there is cogent evidence to have the election annulled. Then the following day comes, he says, you people, Justice Odoki asks them, can you probably reflect on this? Maybe you might have changed your mind. They sit in a judges' conference the following day. Still the status quo remained. 3 annulling, no, 4 annulling, 3 saying no. Odoki was puzzled. Puzzled. He said, let's give it more time. Let's give it more time and see if there could be some of you changing your mind again. Then late in the night, Hamba tells us in that book, The Blessings, Justice Mulenga calls him late in the night. Justice Mulenga was amongst those who were annulling the election. Who were for annulling the election. He calls him late in the night and asks him, my brother George, I hope you have convinced yourself thoroughly about the position you have taken. But I wish you could read this evidence, this. He instructed him, he directed him. Read this kind of evidence, read this affidavit, address your mind to this, blah, 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 blah. Then Hamba tells us he spent a sleepless night reading through the evidence which had been introduced to him by Justice Mulenga. The following morning, he calls Mulenga and says, thank you, my brother. I am now convinced this election must be annulled. Now, they became 5 against 2. And it was an uphill task for now Odoki to take a decision to change the status quo. To cut the long story short, what happens? The machinations were done, the maneuvers, the cajoling, the intimidation, the what. And I think the last spanner in the wheel, according to Hamba, then Odoki calls a conference and tells all the judges that yes, he respects the decision they had taken, but he had talked to the president and the army. They said they will not accept that decision. So are you ready for the consequences? That's what Odoki asked. Are you ready for the consequences? You deliver the decision, the rest is your business. Then the 3, one of them dropped the position he had taken. Now it goes back to 4 against 3. One of them again returned to the other side. So the final position now comes, the final straw came late in the night. again when they were going to take a decision. That's when Mulenga calls Kanye Hamba. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Mulenga has since passed on. He calls Kanye Hamba and said, my brother, I'm sorry. I took you down in the valley and I abandoned you there. That marked the end of the story. So Mulenga threw the dice. It became 3 dissenting, 4 upholding the election. And that's how we lost it. But the story we are telling you about Kanye Hamba, the kind of stance he took, the kind of position he took, the assertiveness. You know, he writes in defense of the abrasive character, the way he told off Odoki that, please, I will not be bulldozed. And the fact that he followed his conscience. Initially, he hadn't been convinced, but he wasn't just influenced by his colleague, but he took a cautious decision after reading the evidence and taking the appropriate decision. That is the man we celebrate. Very illustrious character he has lived, and we shall always remember him for that. At Katonga, we do come out to rebut it or in any way to challenge it, that to assert that it's not authentic. So kindly, please, read it for your own benefit. Now, is about the state of the matters regarding Dr. Kizza Besigye and Obedi Lutale, the status of their case. I'm sure many of you are wondering as to what is going on. We want to update you on the progress, if at all there is any, and the actions we are taking. You recall the last time we appeared before court, they had tried to pursue an application to open Dr. Besigye and Obedi Lutale's phones so that they could access the data on those gadgets. And after a spirited fight that we put up, finally, Her Worship Nantege had to dismiss the application because obviously she had no jurisdiction after committing Dr. Kizza Besigye. As we speak today, Dr. Besigye and Obedi Lutale have clocked 240 days on remand in Iruzira. 240 days. The Constitution is quite clear and very, very instructive. In Article 23, once you have clocked 280 days, rather 180 days, you're entitled to mandatory bail. We don't need to repeat this time and again. Once one has been on remand for a period of 180 days, they're entitled to mandatory bail. But there have been machinations and maneuvers within the justice system that has that have thwarted all these processes of getting bail. First of all, we take exception to those maneuvers, those machinations, the manipulations that have been going on in the criminal justice system to deny Dr. Kizza Besigye bail and Obedi Lutale. It's very, very unfortunate and regrettable. Secondly, we filed applications for bail. My brother, the Honorable Semuju, has alluded to one which was before Comfort Kanye, which was dismissed without any justifiable reason, after the judge being convinced that actually Dr. Besigye and Obedi Lutale had satisfied all the conditions and requirements for grant of bail. But that notwithstanding, she denied them their right, which is guaranteed under the Constitution. But now what is happening? We subsequently filed 2 applications. The head of the criminal division of the High Court, Justice Baguma, allocated these files to Justice Emmanuel. That's not true. The head of the criminal division of the High Court is called David Matovu, sorry. It's called David Matovu, allocated the 2 files to Justice Emmanuel Baguma. Now, since May, when these applications were filed, we are now in July. I'm sorry for the interruption because I'm being distracted by this. So I was telling you, Justice David Baguma, who heads the division, the criminal division of the High Court, allocated these 2 files to Justice Emmanuel Baguma, David Matovu. Now, Justice Baguma, up to now, has refused to fix the bail application. Time and again, we have faced him. We have had the conversation and discussion with him on these matters and put it squarely to him that please, you have a duty to fix these matters, have them heard, and you decide them one way or the other. Can you imagine the arrogance he has exhibited? He told us in our face, in no uncertain terms, that he's not going to fix those applications. He has totally refused. He said, do whatever you want. I am not fixing these applications. Then we asked him, please, can you return the files to the person who assigned them to you, the head of the division, Justice Matovu? Again, he refused. He's holding onto the files, but he's not ready to fix them for hearing. We had to write a complaint to the head of the division and copied in the principal judge. Up to now, we have not been favored with a response from the principal judge or even the head of the division. They have all kept quiet. We have all these communications. There is a trail of communications which we will share with you. Then you wonder what they are up to. That is the status of the bail applications. Now, regarding the main case, you recall on the 29th of May, Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale were committed to High Court for trial. And what happens? Once you are committed, the file from the Chief Magistrate in Nakawa was supposed to be transmitted to ICD, because that's where the trial is going to be conducted from, to the International Crimes Division of the High Court. Up to now, Her Worship Nantege is still holding on to the file. It is still in Nakawa. Up to now, it has not been forwarded to High Court, the ICD. You ask Nantege, you did your work. You are supposed to handle pre-trial processes. You are supposed to process the issues to do with the investigations within 6 months. That was done. You tried to extend your time. We frustrated it. We thwarted it. We blocked it. Legally, we blocked it. Now, what is it that you are doing with the file of Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale after committing them to High Court for trial? She cannot answer that question. So these are the frustrations we are expressing to you, which we have registered. We wanted the matter to be fixed for hearing at ICD. We faced the registrar at the ICD. That can't you fix it in a session to have the matter heard? Said, but the file is not here with me. Then we asked the registrar of the ICD, can you write to the magistrate to bring it? He said, but we are not notified that they have finished the the pre-trial processes. They have no record whatsoever that Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale have since been committed to High Court for trial. That's where we are now. Now, what do we intend to do?